Okay, so this is going to be our last mini section for this lab. And I'm going to open up Pro. And the first thing that you normally want to do with any map making project is to define your AOI, also known as an area of interest. Okay, it's basically your boundaries. All right. And I have put the boundary for the Llano Estacado in our group. So we're going to head over to Catalog, Doorways to Adventure. We're going to click on Portal, and that connects us to the internet. And you're going to come here to Groups. And you should have joined, I think all of you did, our NRM 4403 group. So just double click on that. All right. And there is our boundary. All right. And all you got to do is just drag and drop it over onto the map. It's going to come in on the top of your stack. All right. And that means it's going to cover up what's underneath it. Looks like there's a bit of maybe a transparency here. Okay. So this is our boundary of the Llano Estacado. And if you're not familiar with what the Llano Estacado is, it is one of the biggest mesas in the world. And a mesa it's like a short mountain, and it's completely flat at the top. I mean, not as flat as a tabletop, but mesa is the Spanish word for table. And they really do look like tables, okay? There is a slope, which you will see when we do our elevation maps. There is a slope going from the northwest down to the southeast, okay? Naturally draining into the Gulf. Okay, so we have our AOI set. Now, this blue symbol is something we need to change right off the bat, okay? Because we're gonna want to see what's underneath there. All right, and all data that is represented visually in ArcGIS or in any GIS is represented symbolically, okay? Remember, a map is a model of an external reality, okay? And so the way we represent things on that map are with symbols. And so this represents the borders of the Llano Estacado. So let's twirl this layer open and click on this Llano boundary, and that automatically brings up the symbology pane. See how nice this software is? It's like, okay, I know what you want to do. All right, now you're not going to have these guys. I'm going to share those with you later. But what I want you to do is just come down here to 2D and just click the black outline. All right, and we're just going to leave it like that for now. Okay, now I want you to come back to the catalog, and I want you to go up to project. Okay, and I want you to open up the database that was made automatically when you created this project. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to save this file that's currently streaming into our map. We're going to save it into our geo database. Okay, and so the way we're going to do that is right click once again, always our first step, and we're going to go import feature class. Okay, and this is what's called your geoprocessing pane, okay? And what we do in these panes is we process data. I think it's simple enough. Okay, so we're going to click on this right arrow, and we only have one feature class in here, so we're gonna just choose that, obviously. Now it's going to go into our default geo database. Okay, then if you come over to environments, we are going to choose a coordinate system. All right, let's see which one is currently on the Llano boundary. So I'll explain coordinate systems in a minute, but see, this is not the coordinate system we want to use, okay? The reason, and this should really say projection, but the reason we have projections, you may have heard of these if you worked in GIS before. Projections are incredibly important, okay? Because it is impossible to take a three-dimensional sphere, which our world is, and transform it accurately onto a two-dimensional sheet of paper, okay? Antarctica obviously does not look like this. Greenland is nowhere near as large or larger than Africa, okay? So this is a very unscientific map, all right? And this is the way kids grow up looking at the world in their elementary school. Now, unless you get a job with an international airline or in politics or something, or with the military, very rarely are you going to need to create a map of the entire world. Instead, what you're going to be interested in is that AOI, okay, that area of interest. And you want that to be as accurate as possible. Now, you don't have to do this. I just want you to watch, take a screenshot, okay? But say you needed to do a project on Antarctica, all right? You could right-click on here, go to Properties, all right? And then you go to Coordinate Systems, okay? And let's go down to Projected. And let's polar, and let me just find a quick one for Antarctica. This one looks pretty cool. Oh, that's Australia. Okay. Antarctica. Okay, people that work with Antarctica would definitely know the best one, but I'm going to just choose this one. Okay, this is a projection that is going to be focused on the South Pole. So let me hit OK. All right, good. This worked out well. Now, what the software is doing is it's once again projecting a three-dimensional globe onto a two-dimensional surface, but it's focused on this bullseye that is your AOI. Okay, and it's saying, look, we know you don't give a darn about Africa and Asia and North America, but what we can give you is spot on accuracy for the South Pole, which was this person's AOI. Now, our AOI is the Llano Estacado. Okay, so we're obviously not going to use this projection. So we're going to click over here, and we are going to choose a great projection for the continental United States. So anytime you make a map that covers a good chunk of the US, this is the one I would recommend you use, okay? So twirl open projected, go to continental, okay? Choose North America, and then come all the way down here close to the bottom. All right, and we are going to use this USA contiguous Albers equal area conic. And I want you to right click here and make that a favorite, okay? Because as I said, you'll be using that again when you make other maps over this area, okay? Now click OK. And that is the one that we are going to embed into our Llano boundary that we're bringing into our geodatabase. Okay, so now hit run. Okay, great. Okay, we're still in the South Pole. So let's fix that. Okay, so let's go to catalog. See, now this is your feature class. You own that. It is in your geodatabase. You don't have to worry about streaming anymore. So drag and drop that over, okay? And we're still in the South Pole. And the reason why is because we set that projection, all right? Now what we can do is click on this Yano boundary. Thank you for your service, but we are doing away with you, all right? And we will just simply choose remove. Okay, so let's set our projection. So right click on this guy, go down to properties, okay, and scroll all the way up to the top. And this is a really nice feature. They list the layers that you have in your map, okay? And so if you open, this is the one we want, and it's saying, hey, you have a layer that is projected this way. Do you want to use that? Obviously we do. Hit OK. And now what is going on? Right click on Yano and choose zoom to layer, and boom, now we are projected correctly for the continental United States, okay? So this is a really nice projection, and you can see this curve here, and that shows you the accuracy that has been implemented into this map, because again, we're on a globe. So if you see a map of the US and it's just a straight line here, a cartographer didn't make that. All right, let's click on our symbol, change that to black 1 point. All right, and the last thing we're going to do in this mini section is we are going to set our scale, because at the end of the day, all of this is well and good, but we want to put this map onto a sheet of paper and print it. Okay, so before we do anything else, hold down Control and tap S. Let's save our project. All right, and look at our AOI. And I think most of you are familiar with the two types of formats when you're dealing with sheets of paper. You have a portrait format, and that's when it's taller than it is wide. And then you have your landscape format. If you were going to do Pennsylvania, for example, that's when it's wider than it is tall. So obviously in this case, we are going to use our portrait format. And a quick word on navigation. You can navigate around your map using nothing but your scroll wheel. So if you scroll in, you're going to zoom in. If you scroll out, you're going to zoom out. And if you push down on your scroll wheel, you will be able to pan back and forth. Okay, so let's insert our sheet of paper into our project. And to do that, we come up to our Insert tab, and we're going to choose a new layout. Okay, and we're going to choose 18 by 24. Okay, and the first thing we're going to do, let's just double click on this. That'll bring up the properties. Let's go to General, and we're going to call this Yano Estacado Base. Okay, and that is it. Okay, so what we're going to do now is drop our map, which is over here, onto our sheet of paper, which is what we're looking at. So you can always determine what type of space, computer space you're working in by these little icons, okay? That one depicts a map, and this one depicts a sheet of paper. So in order to drop the Yano in, click on Map Frame and choose this map here, obviously, and then come up. Anytime you insert anything into paper space, you get this annoyingly small blinking crosshairs. Sometimes you don't even know it's there practically. And don't do this, but if you hold down your left mouse button and release, that's where that object appears, okay? And that's true if you were going to put in a legend, okay? A north arrow. Anytime you insert something, that is the workflow. So let's click on map and hover up here to the northwest corner, and you might see two dashed blue lines. Those are called smart guides, and that means you're right on the corner, okay? But I want to show you something else. You don't always have to be so super precise. I can barely even see those blue lines. So you can just drop it in like that, all right? Because what we're going to do now is we're going to double click on our map frame, all right? And let's just call this Yano base. Okay, it's very important to name everything because eventually we're going to have 7 or 8 maps, 7 or 8 layouts, and if you don't name them, it really gets inefficient. Okay, so let's come over to this tab on the right, placement. All right, so watch how easy this is. We know our sheet of paper is 18 inches wide, so just type in 18, hit tab, go to 24, type in 24, okay, hit tab again, hit tab again, type in 0, tab 0, enter, boom, we're on the money. Okay, so you can lock that, that's good to go. Now come over here to the display of the map frame, and this is where we can add a border and things like that. Right now, let's just turn that off. Okay, now the most important one, and we're going to finish with this, is setting the scale of our map. Okay, so click on this fella, display options. Okay, and currently our scale is set at 2.7 million. Okay, so what that means is 1 inch of your physical paper is equal to 2.7 million inches in reality. Okay, remember, this is like a toy model of an external reality. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to zoom in, and we want to end up with a nice even number. So 2 million, close to 3 million, we're zoomed way too far out. So let's try 1 million. Wow, that worked out pretty well. Okay, so want to make sure, because we are going to have legends. So here's what we're going to do. We need a little more room than that. So let's type in, I'm going to try 2.5. Okay. Okay, that looks good, because I want us to be able to give the Llano Estacado some context. Okay. Now, a few other things. Map makers would understand why this line that normally, like this is the border of Texas, they would understand why it's curved. But for most people, that looks really weird. So we are going to rotate our map. Oh, I'm gonna go this way. So 1 degrees, 2 degrees, 3 degrees. I think that looks pretty good. Okay. Now the last thing we're going to do is we're going to right click on this guy, okay, and you are going to choose activate. Now what that does is it brings you into your map mode, so you're no longer touching the sheet of paper. It's like you've jumped through the window and you're actually working on the map. So if you hold down your left mouse button, you can move your map. Don't zoom in and out though, because we've set the scale. All I'd like you to do here is get your map to right about this point, because I want us to have enough room down here for what's called marginalia, and that's where we're going to put legends, the tech logo, your name, and all of that. Okay, so now to get out of this map activation mode and get back into layout mode, you can come up here to layout and just choose close activation. Now that all of this has been set up so carefully, we are going to come over to our element pane, and under constraints, we will choose fixed, center, and scale, and that locks everything into place. Okay, so that's not it for this mini section. Please wait 1 second, because I want to, export this map. You need to upload this PDF along with your notes. Okay, and then I want to show how to log off properly and make sure your files are synced safely into the cloud. So to export this layout, come up to Share, Export Layout. Remember, we're always going to choose PDF. Now, we need to tell the software where to put our layout, okay? And if we go to our project folder, and open up all of these subfolders, under 10, there is exports, okay? And since we named our map or our layout correctly, it automatically names the PDF the same way, so that's nice. Okay, now pay attention to these settings, okay? Keep all of these unchecked. You want to output this as an image, so check that. You want it to be a JPEG. Don't worry about any of this, and make sure this is on normal, okay? That's not a high resolution, but we don't need that until we do our final polished maps, okay? So now just hit export, and it may take a little bit of time because we do have a large sheet of paper, and this software just takes time exporting layouts. Okay, so that worked fine. Let me view the exported file, and it looks good to go. Okay, so close out of that. Now, last thing, Control S, save your project, close out of the software, okay, then come to your project folder and make sure, this is critical if you're on a school computer, make sure you have green check marks. That means all of your data has been backed up to the cloud, okay? So that's it for this lab, all right? We got a lot of work done. Sometimes just getting a project set up can be a little laborious. I'm looking forward to seeing your notes and your PDF of the Llano Estacado.